Welcome to another episode of 303 Garage Talks. We are here today with Megan Hottman. You look so excited.
I am kind of.
You look a little nervous, maybe.
I'm nervous with my own filter these days. Not so much nervous to be here. I'm just feeling lack of self-restraint.
The COVID filter.
I guess.
The COVID factor. Oh my
guess.
gosh, right?
Yeah.
Everybody just throws caution to the wind,
Yeah,
right?
right. I'm feeling very truthful, which could backfire on me.
Well, today I want to, first of all, our episode is brought to you by Vinga CBD. Do you use CBD?
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I definitely love it after a huge ride day or a huge training day or a day when I've been standing a lot. It really seems to help me just wind down enough to get deep sleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel it for any aches or pains or inflammation?
I wish. I have to say I haven't noticed it for inflammation, but I have definitely noticed just the way it kind of ratchets me down, whereas normally after a hard day, especially if you just go too deep and it kind of gives you like that hot, restless legs stuff at night and you can't sleep. I feel like this has really helped just taper me down and so I can get good rest even after a big day.
Well, we just started working with them and they're in Steamboat.
Nice.
And Billy Grimes is actually associated, and he's one of the Smartwool people.
Oh, right on.
And then they sent me a sample, and I started taking it just the other day. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, good.
I have a prevailing hip issue. I'm just hoping it helps me with.
Oh, good.
So anyway,
Fingers crossed.
yeah. But I want to talk to you about a million things. We could go on and on. We could talk about all the rides we've taken over the years or whatever. But I want to tell you what I think of your background and tell me where you need to fill in the blank.
Perfect.
All right?
I can't wait to hear this.
This is what I think of Megan Hottman.
This is what I think of you. All right.
All right, what I know of you. Two different things. I'm not exactly sure where you were born and raised, but I know you went to Creighton University, undergrad and law school, correct? And you practiced law. You were a professional bike racer.
Elite level,
Elite
yes.
level.
Pro elite, it's debatable. But
Okay. Obviously, you ride bikes a lot.
yes.
You have a practice in Golden that specializes in cycling injuries and collisions and all of that. You do a lot of advocacy work. But in the last maybe year or two, you've really kind of taken a little different approach to life, it feels like. You've sort of downscaled things. I see it's like a garage sale at your house. There's always a bike for sale. There's always something going out the door. And it's like you're just
Done.
making your ship really simple.
Exactly.
And then you've gotten into yoga. You cook amazingly from what I hear.
Thanks.
And you've really taken a holistic approach to life. So where have I gone astray?
Nailed it. Yeah. Well said. Yeah, I would say, so I was born in South Dakota, a small town named Gettysburg.
Oh.
And my parents moved us to the big city metropolis of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I was there through about 6th grade and then moved to Omaha, Nebraska, did high school, and then, as you said, college and undergrad at Creighton, which was a great experience. I'm really thankful I did it straight through. I would not probably have gone back to school if I had taken a break, if I'm being honest. Graduated law school at 23, had no idea who would ever want to hire a 23-year-old lawyer, and had just discovered bike racing, so was really struggling with, I just always have known I would never be a big law firm person. How do I put bike racing and law together? And so I was really fortunate to work with, I landed a judicial clerkship with a judge in Kansas City right out of law school. That was a 2-year gig. And then took a second one here in Golden, which is what got me to Golden.
Ah, okay.
And then quit my job there in 2007 to race bikes full time, which was supposed to be 2008. The market crashed. All the professional women's cycling teams, not all of them, but many of them went under, and there was all this established talent vying for very limited spots. That became clear to me that I wasn't going to be able to make it as a pro bike racer, which was my dream for sure. And so I scrambled and got a job as an associate in a law firm in Boulder and was there for about a year and a half. And between the commute from Lakewood to Boulder every day, my desire is to really see what I could do for the London 2012 Olympics and just wanting to have a better quality of life, I decided to start my own practice pretty much against everyone's advice that that's just not what you do.
Then that's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, always listen to your gut. I've learned that's true. And so at 29 is when I launched the practice. So we just celebrated 10 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
So you were, gunning for the 2012 Olympics?
Yeah, so I poured my heart and soul into that from March of 2010 through late 2011. So in 2010 is probably like my breakout season, and not ironically, that's the year I wasn't working full time. So that's the age-old dilemma, right? That you can be super fit but broke, or you can be making plenty of money working and not fit. Like it's one or the other.
Right.
No one's figured out how to do both.
Right.
And so I went from making great money and not being able to train and race the way I wanted to walking away for a job that paid me a lot. I had like $5,000 in the bank, and I just knew I had to jump, and went wholeheartedly into racing on the track, especially World Cups 2010, 2011, Primal Map My Ride. The team picked me up. Unfortunately, got crashed out a couple times that year with some pretty bad injuries. And the third time I crashed that year, I was just thinking about this yesterday actually. I remember laying in the middle of the road, and my front tire had just inexplicably exploded. I was on Pine Ridge Road going downhill towards Lookout.
Hot?
No, like it was the same bike, same tire, same tube. I'd been riding for a month. There was nothing in the road. It was early in the morning, 30 miles an hour. Front tire just exploded, and I just ate shit all over again on the pavement. And I remember laying on the pavement, looking up at the clouds, just saying, like, the universe, I get it. Like, I hear you. This is the third bad one this year. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I just constantly kept running up against tension, which has kind of become a theme in my life, that when you feel some pretty significant tension, you're off course. So that's when I really shifted my attention to the practice. And so 2012 was kind of the breakout year for the law firm in terms of success. And then 3 years later, Outside Magazine did a huge article about the practice, which led to me being on Bryant Gumbel, HBO Real Sports. And that was like truly what put me and my law firm and my practice on the map for sure.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Do you take cases nationally on?
I do. Yeah. I'm licensed in 4 states. I can take cases all over the country. And I'll be honest, like I'm really choosy where I take them, because I try to do them in places where I think I can have the most impact. Yeah. And I also choose cases where I think I can have the most impact on the people involved, especially driving behavior.
Right.
Just last night when I got home on my commute, this woman was driving drunk through my neighborhood. She did a hot spin through our cul-de-sac, took out someone's mailbox, and I chased her down on my bike, and I was on the phone with the cops, and like she's weaving and all over the curb, and just narrowly missed a couple parked cars and a fire hydrant. Thank God there weren't any kids out playing.
Wow.
And then she came back through. So anyway, we got the cops involved, and so she was arrested. And so, like that kind of stuff. Like I'm always trying to make the roads safer. So there's a lot of cases I don't take because they're not, frankly, interesting to me. Like if someone sticks a tire in a crack on the pavement, that may very well be a violation of a city code. That doesn't interest me. I want to change driving behavior.
I never would have thought of that.
I get all kinds of calls about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you see on the bike trails from cases, like cyclists hitting each other?
Cyclists on cyclists, bike on ped. We've had little kids take out grown cyclists, cause lots and lots of injuries. I'm not saying that some of those aren't compelling, and I have taken a few of those, especially when the behavior was really egregious. But I try not to make a habit out of suing. I don't sue bike brands or manufacturers, so I don't do any product defect assembly, or like someone wants to sue their bike shop or their mechanic. I don't touch those. And I don't really do like roadway defect cases, because if someone hits a speed bump going too fast and they wipe out on their bike, that may very well be actionable. I want to change motorist behavior. So there's a lot of cases I turn down pretty often.
Interesting. My brother was a lawyer, and he was mostly family law.
Gotcha.
And boy, he quit early.
He's a saint. I could never do that.
He got out.
Could never
he
do
just
it.
said, I can't. He finally got threatened by someone in person.
Sure.
And he's like, I'm done.
Sure.
They threatened my nephew, actually.
You're doing with people at their absolute worst in a divorce or child custody situation, and then all of a sudden your family is being threatened, and
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Well, let's pivot a little bit. Talk about. I don't want to talk about the law too much, but
that's fine.
I am curious about how COVID has impacted your business, because there's more cyclists than ever out there, but I feel like there's less collisions. Is that true?
Yes. So this has actually been a dream come true for me for a few reasons. But I have always said that I believe if we pull more cars off the roads and we put more cyclists on the roads, that it would be safe. And from day one when I started this practice, I said the day I'm no longer needed is the day that I'm out, and I'm going to go mow lawns for a living. Like I've said that since day one. That's always been a dream of mine. I'm going to do that soon.
Dang, that's my favorite job ever, was mowing grass.
Yeah.
Let's start a company.
I mean, right? Like you're in the sun, you're productive.
Yeah.
It's like mindless. And so
303 mowing.
Okay. This episode is brought to you by 303 Mowing. So yes, I posted back in March that I had gone the first full month since my practice 10 years ago started where I had not received one phone call from an injured cyclist. I had a couple inquiries in April. Only one of them actually involved a motorist. One of them was a road defect case, like I mentioned. And so far, May has been quiet.
That's so weird.
So that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome, because what it means is when people aren't out driving their cars all the damn time, and we have this influx of people on bikes, when you diminish traffic congestion in general, but then you have this increase in visibility of cyclists, it gets safer. And it could also just be that they're not calling me anymore too, which is fine. Maybe they found another lawyer, but it has been quiet and it's been wonderful, because I actually wanted to scale my caseload down, and this has given me the opportunity to just focus on the caseload that I had coming into this without new business coming in.
So what have you done to fill your time?
Yeah, so I spent the first 3 weeks just being.
Okay.
Just being. I did a lot of journaling. I got really hardcore into meditation, did a lot of cooking, like you talked about.
Yeah.
Really started getting into the photography, like we were talking about, doing a lot of online research and just messing around with the camera. And then I started to realize that it had cured me of my fantasy of retirement. So we all have this fantasy of, when I quit working, my life's going to be amazing. I can't wait to have all day, every day to just do nothing. Nope, that's not for me.
I agree.
3 weeks taught me that.
Yep.
I like to be productive. I also really like being around people. I'm an introvert, but I also am really social. And so I started, I took an online class from Yale University called The Science of Wellbeing, which I highly recommend. It's free, and it's taught by Dr. Lori Santos. It's the top-rated class in Yale since the beginning.
It's free?
And it's free online.
Mark that down, Kenny.
It talks all about why we think certain things are going to make us happy and then they don't, and then the happiness doesn't even last, and it's really cool. It's like ways to check yourself on ways that you're going wrong. Of course, things that you and I believe in, like not moving your body, not eating well, not sleeping, of course. Then I signed up for real estate school and started doing some Instagram work for a real estate school in exchange for taking their class. I've always wanted to get my real estate license. I'm a commercial landlord. It will only benefit me.
Sure.
I don't plan on being a broker, but it'll be nice to have that in my quiver.
Yeah.
And then I started doing socials for a bike shop in town. So this was where I kind of pulled in like, hey, I'm playing with photography. I'm pretty good with my words. Let's mess around. Let me help you kind of message yourself during this COVID thing. Because initially bike shops had no idea what was going to happen. Initially they were shut down, and then they were allowed to be open. And
now it's crazy.
We couldn't have predicted what it would be like now, yes. But so I was kind of helping them with their messaging through March. And then once I saw that their staff diminished and the business freaking exploded, I offered to come in a couple times a week because I've always wanted to just try that, right? Like,
Right.
I've always been around bikes. I know a lot about the bikes that I ride, but there's so much to learn that I
Right.
didn't know. And what COVID has taught me is that I have an insatiable thirst for learning. And if I'm not learning, then I'm really stagnant. So there's a great thing in being a specialized lawyer in one niche area. And this concept of mastery is amazing, to know this one thing, to be this like one-trick pony. But it's also really nice to go do something totally different, stretch my brain, and learn all kinds of new things. So I've been working at a bike shop now for a little over a month, 2 to 4 days a week, and I've never had so much fun for,
That's
a little
awesome.
above minimum wage. Like, it's so much fun.
When I got divorced, I wanted to land on my feet in the bike industry. That was 2000. Oh gosh, that's amazing. 2012 or 11.
Time
I don't know,
flies,
whatever.
right?
So I went and worked for Wheat Recyclery just down the road here, in the sales,
Yep.
and I had a ball.
Totally.
I wasn't making a lot of money,
Nope.
but I just had a ball. So I'm going to ask you a question. So
Yeah.
if I walked into your shop and I was, let's say, 40-year-old, male or female, it really doesn't matter, and I come to you and I say, I'd like to try road biking. What bike should I get? Which is a kind of a common
That's
question.
what they say, yeah.
Tell me how you advise people, because I'll tell you what I did, but I want to hear your
Sure. So because the bike shop's been so crazy, there really wasn't any training. And thankfully I know a little bit about bikes, but I will say I was really just sort of thrown in, which has been fun, So I've just done it. I don't know if it's right or wrong. It's just the way that it's what I would want to be asked if I was buying a bike, I'll put it that way. So I always ask them where they're riding, what kind of riding they see themselves doing. Are you riding to and from the grocery store and work? Are you going to be on the bike trails? Are you going to be out with your buddies on the roads? Then I ask them if they own any other bikes and what sizes those are, and I ask them to tell me about their other bikes, and so then I can kind of get a picture of the type
Right.
of rider this person is. And then so the bike shop's not open for people to come in right now. We wheel bikes out to
is
them.
it? Okay.
So I'll usually just start bringing out 2 or 3. I have them sign a waiver, and then I just want them to spin around the parking lot. And then normally what happens is they'll say, I can't stand this one. I don't know why. I can't tell you why I don't like this one. I can't stand it. Then you put them on option B or option C, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, this one's amazing. Or then you start talking about, we're all really, I think, going to disc brakes. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot more rim brake in the future.
Right.
So then we start talking about those types of distinctions, and does that matter to you, and do you want carbon, and Obviously cost right now, just with COVID, and a lot of people have literally walked in and said, I'm spending my stimulus check on a bike. Okay, well then that gives us a budget to work within. And just to be clear, the reason I'm not mentioning the name of the shop, it's not because I'm not really proud of where I'm working, it's because I really, really enjoy the anonymity of being there. I am just a girl selling bikes and nothing else.
That's your blog, just a girl selling bikes.
Yeah, that's just a girl selling bikes. And it's so nice, to be honest. What I love most about it, well, I get to actually fulfill my mission of literally putting more people on bikes. But not one person wants to talk about the death and destruction of cycling. Like, no one is coming in and saying, so-and-so just got hit and killed, or did you see this horrible headline, or it's just all the positive, beautiful parts of cycling that we get to talk about,
So my answer is a little different. I mean, I would do the same sort of drills, but I would say, because it always comes down to one or two, and they're like, I'm not sure I can afford that, or and I always said to them, I said, you want the bike that when you go to bed at night, you have to walk in the garage and go, yes.
I like that.
And then you want to get on that bike in the morning.
That you're excited to wake up for?
Yeah.
I like that.
So what gets you excited about biking?
How much time do you have?
I mean, when someone asks you, what's your 30-second speech about biking in general?
For me, it's the 100% guaranteed way to improve my mood. It has never, ever once failed me to make me a happier, better person. Never once, no matter what ride it was. It's, to me, the assurance that we are still humans connected to one another and to the environment around us, that we're still in touch with our bodies, that we still can move ourselves places without needing an engine, or, e-bikes are wonderful too. I can't think of a more pure way of taking a human and propelling you from point A to point B in a way that is gonna leave you with some calm, some aha moment, some breakthrough. I mean, it's like therapy. It's pure joy, and there's a reason the expression is, it makes you feel like a kid again. Yeah. And it really does. There's just something very childlike about it, and simplistic, which you referred to earlier in my move towards simplicity. There's just me and the bike and nothing else. It's just very uncluttered and clean, and I was thinking about this yesterday too. Over the last 20 years, the bike has been the one constant for me in my life. So, my sense of you, I've known you, maybe 7 or 8 years, something like that. We've ridden bikes with the A team in Arvada, right? Yeah. And usually a pretty good group of pretty strong riders. Yep. And we've gone some pretty big miles. Yep. We did Haute Route, a couple routes on Haute Route together, which was, we can talk about that. Oofta. Pikes Peak you crushed it, by the way. Oh, that's because I only rode that one day.
And then, but my sense of you was, maybe, I'll just throw out these dates, maybe not quite right, but say 6 years ago, you were pretty laser focused and kind of intense. Yep. And maybe not approachable. And you maybe in 2 or 3 years ago, you kind of made maybe there was an aha moment. Was there an aha moment where we really changed the narrative of who you are?
It hasn't been intentional, but thank you for sharing that, because I have had a lot of feedback that the word intense has always come up, high strung. People have described me as not approachable, which is heartbreaking to me, because who I am now is who I've always been, but I had this shell. This makes me emotional, kind of, I don't know why. I think the practice of law teaches you that you have to be really hard to be good. And I don't want to be that. Yeah. So I would say a few years ago, I just decided I didn't want to compartmentalize. This is Megan the lawyer, and she has to be this way so she can be effective. And then this is who she really is when you get to know me.
That's well said. I mean, that's my sense of you, is that, and I last week I talked to Dave Toll, and we had this similar discussion. He actually got a little emotional, I think. And,
shame on you.
I didn't mean to.
Did you put CBD in my water?
But you and he share something, I think, in common, and that's your life is in a flow. Yeah. And it's almost not even, it's above biking. It's about simplicity, it seems like to me, and no clutter. You probably hate my garage.
I don't hate it. I mean, I would do some things to it, but I don't hate it.
Yeah. But that's what I sensed, something really shifted in you. Yeah. And I felt it immensely at Haute Route.
Interesting.
Actually, I felt it the day you and I the day you and I forget who the other guy was, we went on this ride and everybody bailed because it was windy. T-Mac and Matt and those guys bailed down in downtown Golden. And you and I forget who this guy was. We said, screw it. And we ended up with a beautiful day. We went up to Evergreen. We went on the backside of Deer Creek where that little shop had just opened, the coffee shop. And you were just so relaxed.
Austin.
Yeah, that was, you were just relaxed. And I was like, oh, this is Megan. This is great.
Yeah. It's actually kind of become one of my missions for someone at some point to describe me as calm, which has never happened my entire life. But I would love for someone to say, like, your calm is contagious, and I'm working on that because no one's ever said that about me. They say my energy is contagious, but that's also a really nice way of saying you're like a tornado. Yeah, there was a couple things that happened. I had a really bad crash in 2017 on a charity ride, and I broke my pelvis, and I was really concussed, and I didn't realize how hurt I was for about 4 weeks. And so I had to kind of just muscle my way through it until I realized how badly I was broken, and that made me feel really vulnerable. And when I actually asked for help and got it, that was eye-opening for me, because I guess I always thought people don't want to see your mess, which I think is why I portrayed myself as so hard, because that's clean. Right. That's really clean. Like, you don't see my hot mess, and so then I don't have to watch you see me be a hot mess. I'd rather you just see me be put together, which the problem with that is perfection isn't relatable. And it's really only when you allow yourself to be authentic and vulnerable that people either get to accept you or reject you. And then if they accept you, like, you know that they're in it, because they've seen you messy. Yeah. And so I started to get clear on that and really develop some close friendships, I would say, for the first time in my life, where I feel seen. Like T-Mac is a great example. He's seen me through some real stuff, and he's just been a true friend throughout all of it. And the fact that he continues to be my friend tells me that he's in it. Yeah,
he's a great dude.
Yeah.
Tim McAndrew, who we're talking about. Tim, hope you watch this.
He's
a horse, man.
Oh my God, yes.
He kicks my ass on his gravel bike. It drives me crazy.
Well, he commutes to and from downtown Golden, and it really pays off. It really pays off. Yeah.
So if you had to take a snapshot of your life, what would you consider to be your most proud accomplishment?
If you'd asked me that a few years ago, I would have listed all the things. I would have listed all the accolades and
the degree,
and like podium, outside and World Cups and the bike racing stuff, building the empire, if you will, trying to be the best, and I would say what I'm most proud of right now is that I feel like I'm for the first time living a really brave life. I'm doing things that really terrify me. Like I posted something yesterday, just a close up of my face with no makeup on, and just shared like, this is the happiest I've ever been. I'm working in a bike shop, and I'm not hustling, and my calendar's open, and I'm not wearing makeup, and I'm not wearing suits, and it's not about anything I'm doing. Like, to me, that's actually I'm in my kind of proud accomplishment phase right now, because I'm in a transition where I feel like I'm really curious about what makes my life the best life possible, and it's really scary, because you don't build a law practice to perhaps walk away or perhaps scale it back or go work in a bike shop. Like nothing I'm doing makes any sense, and that I'm actually really proud of that.
Well, it's really obvious on Strava. I'll tell you this, because when I see your Strava, and I don't know when I started to notice this, but you're like putting walks with the dog or a walk around the block or a little commute down to the store, and I'm like, wait a minute, she's a really good cyclist. People are gonna, but that just proved.
Yeah, that
you're
all
like,
brings
this
me
is my
joy.
life, guys.
That's my life. Yeah.
And I thought that was cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to not compartmentalize, and I'm probably really late to the game. I'm sure a lot of other people figure this out much sooner. I just turned 41, and I don't know, maybe it's just all the steps that got me here, but it's just really nice to say, take it or leave it. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. And I will say slowing down has allowed me to be a lot more genuine and connected to people. Before, my schedule was so packed, and I was giving to so many people who frankly didn't matter at all, trying to be liked by everyone, trying to be the chameleon. I didn't have the bandwidth to sit, and if I ask you how your day was going, actually listen and care. Whereas now I do that with strangers all the time. Like, I love going to Sprouts and talking to the people that I love it. And if you actually ask and you pause, they'll tell you some really amazing things, and I get to do it at the bike shop now too.
Active listening, right?
Yeah, and people want to tell you their story. Whereas before, I couldn't be bothered with that.
Exactly. Why do you like that donut? The next thing you know, they're talking about.
I love it.
Something else. That's
the stuff they want to share with you, like it's real. It's totally real. And so, I'm practicing on being a better listener too. I'm working on that.
So now some people probably don't know this about you, but you do Ironmans as well. How many Ironmans have you done?
Finished 3, but started 4.
Okay.
Yeah, the last one kind of.
You're pretty fast.
Oh, that's sweet of you to say. I got pulled out of the water with hypothermia. That was terrifying.
Was it?
Yeah.
So we've done Arizona.
That was the 4 times. Yep.
All Arizona. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we did a really fun video down there with those guys one time. I'll have to share with you sometime. But I've done Arizona a couple of times.
It's
how
good.
do you like Ironman compared to road racing? What would you say is kind of the different mindset?
Okay. The thing I like about Ironman is that it will always, for me, keep me humble. I will never be good at all 3. And even if the balance starts to shift towards, feeling good in 2 of the 3, I just like that. There's just a sense of realness there. I also like the fact that I feel like I've done pretty well in cycling and have mastered that, and I have a ton of work to do on the running and the swimming. So again, it's that thirst for learning.
Right.
And I really like my body responded well to the 3 modalities. It's good for us to not just be on the bike 100% of the time. I also really enjoyed the community, frankly. It's a new group of people. It's not mutually exclusive of cycling, but I mean the 2 only overlap just a little bit. It's really
different
otherwise
crowd.
Pretty, yeah. And at the time that's what I was seeking. I did my first one when I got divorced in 2015, and it was just my way of like investing myself in something that would be a healthy pursuit rather than, just going to the bars every night. And it was really nice to just meet a whole new circle.
I feel like a triathlon is a lot more welcoming.
Yes.
Yes
and no.
And I don't mean that in a bad way for cycling, but I just feel like the levels of people that do a triathlon are so much greater. So you're always surrounded by somebody that's either a little better or not as good.
100%.
And I just feel like it's more community focused.
It's far less elitist than road cycling is.
And nothing against road cycling. It's just a different spectrum.
That's why Ironman and triathlon and 5Ks and 10Ks crush it as compared to road bike entries.
Yeah, tough year for all of it now.
Yeah.
Did you plan on doing like an Ironman this year?
No. The big things on my list, we're going to be Chino Grinder in May, Gravel Worlds in August, and doing a 3-day bikepacking trip with Ramble Ride, which is a group out of Fort Collins.
Oh, cool.
And then was going to do a 3-day Trans Rockies run, which is like a 3-day ultra.
Oh, nice.
And so all of that so far has been scrapped or postponed. The only thing that's still up in the air is Gravel Worlds in August. They haven't quite made the decision yet.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty much gravel and just getting back to kind of my roots and my core, like the people I want to be around, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good group. Yeah. Tell us real quick about Dirty Kansas, and then I want to ask you our standard questions of the day.
Okay. So last time I did DK was 2018. I did it on a single speed.
My God.
Yeah.
Stop there, right? It's so over.
I just thought you were cool, Megan, and now I take back everything I said.
No, actually, I think you're more cool. You're too cool for me.
I took the Cannondale Slate, which has a front lefty fork, and I retrofitted it, or just took everything off of it but one gear, and tackled that in 2018, which is really something. The nice thing about single speed is that you just put one foot in front of the other, so you don't have to worry about staying with the groups. You don't have to worry about holding the wheel, staring at somebody else's hub. It's just one foot in front of the other. You're either sitting or standing. Yeah. And so I did that, and it was roughly 16 hours, if I remember right. I attempted it in 2016 with a geared bike, made it to the 165 SAG, stopped. It was late in the day, of course. A group of us rolled out of the SAG. We apparently all went the wrong direction. I was just honestly riding with the group.
That. Yeah.
We rode 8 unnecessary miles, and the person I'd gone to the race with happened to be at the SAG stop with the van. And so after this little 8-mile fiasco, because the van was there, I pulled the pin. I've regretted it ever since.
Oh, really?
If he hadn't been, I blame him. If he hadn't been there with the van, I would have had to finish. But anyway, I've regretted that ever since.
So 200 miles, single speed, 16 hours. Did that just wreck you?
No.
Really?
Not as much as you would imagine. That's also the beauty of the single speed, is that you're really, like for me, I really only am going to average about 14 miles an hour. There's lots of coasting on any gradual flat, so you end up eating and drinking quite a bit, and because you stand so much, I actually felt a lot less wrecked from that than I have from like 150-mile gravel worlds on a geared bike.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would never have thought of that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a lot of simplicity and beauty in the single speed. I'm drawn to it for sure because of that.
I'm going to have to try it now.
I highly recommend it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and there's just no pressure to keep up with anyone because you just can't.
Right.
So.
Huh, that sounds fun. Let's
yeah,
do it,
is.
Kenny.
It
Let's
is.
do
I highly recommend it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to close out tonight. 3 standard questions.
Okay.
First question. Best decision you've made in 2020?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm going to go with working at the bike shop.
Okay.
It's taught me a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot. Yeah.
Perfect. I love it. Next question. Favorite place in the world?
Other than Golden?
Other than Golden. I mean, yeah,
Really?
Golden's a no-brainer, right?
Okay, yeah. So that's definitely my first favorite place. Second favorite place would be Scottsdale, Arizona.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's
I spend a lot of time there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Last question. You've had a career that's kind of moved around a little bit based on law, but based on bikes. If you had to redo it, what would be your ultimate career?
What I'm learning about myself in 2020, especially with just all the newness and all the exploration, is that my brain is wired to see processes. And I wasn't really joking about retiring mowing lawns. I also really love new things and like the challenge of just that learning curve at the beginning. I actually like that a lot more than the mastery and the ease that comes with being able to do things with your eyes closed. So in a perfect world, what I would love to do is honestly hop around from business to business and spend like 6 months learning their processes and helping them refine some of their stuff so they're not reinventing the wheel, and just helping them get really clean with their organization and then moving on to the next thing. That, to me, that's always been something I thought would just light me up, and now I know that that's the case.
So like a top-level consultant. Like
kind of, yeah.
Like a C-level consultant.
Except maybe just an employee, too, like just someone
Yeah.
who they call in as like a ringer when they're in desperate need of help. I mean, it's just really fun for me to get thrust into that. I really enjoy that, and I don't know why.
So do you bite your tongue a lot at the bike shop? Or do you sometimes want to go, guys, come on, you got it.
Yeah,
you should do it this
yes,
way?
the business owner in me does cringe. I watch them reinvent the wheel on certain things
Yeah.
every single day that really should be automated.
Yeah.
A great example is that we have 3 phone lines, and they ring all day long nonstop, and we don't have like an answering service or anything, so people will then message us on Instagram and Facebook saying, I can't get through, I'm trying to call.
Oh.
Meanwhile, we're dealing with the lines that are out the door and we can't get to the phones. And so early on I suggested we need to have an automated, these are our hours, no, we're not doing demos, this is the process.
Yeah, right.
Because that's 90% of the phone calls that we get.
Oh, yeah.
And even just like automating Facebook inquiries and stuff, there's a lot of human bandwidth that's being expended on dealing with all these like one-offs.
Interesting.
And I'm a processes person, so like I really resist reinventing the wheel every single time, which part of that's where you also have seen my intensity, is that when I find something that works, I tend to kind of stick with that routine or that ritual. Like
Right.
a morning routine for me serves me well, and so I try not to deviate from that. So,
Makes sense.
I guess a consultant, I suppose,
Yeah.
to answer your question. I don't
We've
know,
had
I don't know what
everything
you
from
call that.
veterinarian to consultant to veterinarians.
Two veteran. I could
Same
never
day.
do that. I could
Same
never
day.
do that.
Isn't that funny?
No, I definitely could
Dana
never
Willett.
do that.
She wants.
Oh, okay.
Her secret goal was a veterinarian. Same with Deirdre Moynihan.
I could be a professional dog walker. That I would be really, really good at.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, where I thrive is when I have my hand in about 4 or 5 different things at one time.
Yeah,
So
I
if
can see
I'm multi-passionate is the word that's really come up for me. So if I can do like this on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and do this on Tuesday, Thursday, and then do this over here. I like to be outside. I like to have my hands in the dirt. I like to cook. I don't know how to monetize any of that. I'm not really worried about it either.
You and me both.
I guess I'm in a space of not worrying about money right now, just
Right.
being open.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes our garage talk.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Seriously,
having
that was
me.
awesome, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the road one of these days.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.